Hey, Shalom Esha. I want to start off as always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahshua, Bashem Kodash. Double honor to the apostles of GMS and honor to brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and sincerity. It's a quick one, inspired by a comment Apostle Kabar made in the video he did a little while back, which was the prophets are back in town, right? Tweaking up the song "The Boys Are Back in Town." It's basically where that came from, right? It is a true saying that prophets indeed are back in town, right? Which is why, you know, we know we're close to the end, right? So this is Daniel's. In fact, let me start with Jeremiah to prove the statement I just made, right? So Jeremiah 28:8 says, "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, right? And against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence." Now, America's a great kingdom, right? And all of these things are happening. You're seeing, the wars and rumors of wars when it comes to America. You're seeing the evil, which evil means bad times, right? And part of that evil is the pestilence, that is the coronavirus, whether real or imagined, right? But which got the apostles also mentioned, which that's a topic in itself, right? The fact that all of these other things that are actually happening on the world. I don't know. I forget whether it's Apostle Paul, Apostle Ramla, but basically the apostle that said it was basically saying that there are many different pestilences, but because it's not forced upon us that it's a pestilence, that people forget that it is. So you consider cancer, heart disease, right, and all of these other things that people get on a regular basis. Those are pestilences, right? Those are some of the plagues written of that will be smitten on our people, right? In these in these last times, right? You read that in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, where it says you shall smite, roughly paraphrase, and smite you with plagues. Whether you plagues that we know, or new plagues, basically, very, very roughly paraphrasing. Right, so all of these things are happening to America right now, great kingdom, right? And you mean to tell me the Lord didn't send his prophets? No, right? If the prophets of old back then were out prophesying against those kingdoms, right? That means the prophets of what you call it, of today were out doing those same things, right? Now, when you have understand, the prophets have been there from the beginning of time, right? Since we finished that, let's grab that in Ephesians 1. Is it 1 and 4? Ephesians? Right, so it says Ephesians 1 and 4. It says, "According as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love." Right, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Yahweh Mashiach to himself according to the good pleasure of his will. Right, so the elect of Israel, right? The well, basically from the foundation of the earth, right, which includes the prophets, right? So you consider what is it? Voice garden, right? So yeah, you see that there, right? It says Genesis 3:8. It says, "And they heard the voice of the Lord, a power walking in the garden," right? Which is representative of the prophets, man, right? It says, "In the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh, or Yahweh power amongst the trees of the garden," right? So I mean, since I've got the breakdown there, I'll read through it. Right, so the voice of Yahweh, right? The prophets that were there at the time: Jeremiah 42:21, Luke 1 and 70, trees of the garden representing the other nations, Ezekiel 31 and 5, Psalms 1 and 3, Mark 8:22-24, cool of the day, a metaphor meaning before the destruction, when everything goes okay. Which, for example, currently the prophets are preaching in the cool of the day before the heat of the day comes, i.e., the time of Jacob's trouble, right? So we read Jeremiah 42:21, see what it says. It says, "And now have I declared this, and now I have this day declared it to you, but ye have not obeyed the voice of the Lord your power, right? Nor anything for the which he hath sent me unto you." Right. So basically, when Jeremiah here is saying you have not obeyed the voice of the Lord your power, right? He's basically saying, look, I'm the voice of the Lord. right? Basically meaning the prophets are referred to as the voice of the Lord, right? And then let's see what Luke 1 and 7 he says, right? It says, and he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. Right, so the prophets have been since the world began, but now you're telling me that all of a sudden they just disappeared. No, that ain't what you call it? That ain't true. Right, the prophets have been before. You read that again in Jeremiah 28 and 8. Right, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesy both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. Right, so that means that is you have prophets this day, and they're back in time doing the same thing. Some of the apostles on down been out there, right, for a long period of time, basically saying, yo, look, this destruction is coming, this destruction is coming, this destruction is coming. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Right, if you're an Israelite, get right with the Lord. Right, and if you're a heathen, you're going into slavery. That's what the apostles have been doing. Right, apostles on down. Right, the prophets. Right, so this is 1 Corinthians 14:32. Right, it says, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Right, now this is going into a larger topic of reincarnation, which without reincarnation the scriptures don't work. Right, the Most High is a liar without reincarnation. What does the scripture say? That Most High is not a man that he should lie. Right, this is so 1 Corinthians 14:32, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So if in the beginning of time you was a prophet, that means when you came back in the time of Babylon, you were a prophet. When you came back in the time of Greece, you were a prophet, right? Or rather, the Greek Empire, you were a prophet. When you came around in the time of the Roman Empire, guess what? You were still a prophet, right? And then when you are here to in this day, right? Then you are a prophet. The Lord isn't gonna make you a great prophet in one life and a rapper in the next. No, this is basically saying if you were a prophet, if you're a prophet now, that means in the history of all your reincarnations, you're a prophet, right? Just like how we say, rather, starting with the apostles, we say that what was it, Prince, the musician Prince, right, would have been Amadeus Mozart, man, right? Is it Mozart? They say, yeah, because I think Wolfgang Amadeus. Yeah, it's one of is it Beethoven or Mozart? I forget. I believe it's Mozart, right? But that's because that was once a great musician, right? And then in this particular life, is also a great musician, right? Even dressed the same kind of way and everything, right? So once again, basically saying if you in one life you would have had one particular spirit, and the other life you have the same spirit, just like with the scoffers, right? Uh, what would you call it? If you were a scoffer in your last life, you was a scoffer in this life, right? So as right, just cause I'm not going got on this one out in a minute. Right, 2 Peter 3:3, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts. Right, so all these scoffers that you see now, right, this isn't their first merry-go-round of being a scoffer. No, right, they have been here before, scoffing and doing the same thing, right? And for that, the Lord has a has their number, man. Let's just put it like that. So we get Daniel's 12:13 again. So at this time, right, it says, "But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest." Right, and stand in thy lot at the end of the days, right? So now we're in the end of days, man. This is, Lord's will, the last couple of months of this man's kingdom, right? Lord's will, right? It says, so basically, these are the last days. That means you would have had the prophet Daniel in and around us, whether he's still alive or, whether he's passed away recently, because you've had some of the apostles, some of the prophets come back and, pass away in this time. You think of King Marshall, right? Who we believe to be King David, but King David was also Peter, right? You'd think of Elder Arbar Bivens, right? It says, but go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days, right? So either Daniel was here today, or he passed away recently, right? In these times, right? But this once again is proven to you that the prophets will be around in the last days, right? And then the last precept that I have here, right, it says Malachi 4 and 5, it says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful coming day of the Lord." I read that backwards. It says, "I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord," right? Which precepts to Matthew 17 and 10, right? It says, and his disciples asked him, saying, "Why then save the scribes that Elias must first come?" Why? Because they knew and understood, right, this concept of reincarnation. It wasn't a big thing like it is now in these days, right? So you see here, Elijah, then John the Baptist, right? And once again, like as I said, we believe he came back as Elder Arbar Bivens, right? So carry on. It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias, right, Greek way of saying Elijah, right, is come already, and they knew him not, right, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise, shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. Right, so the disciples had the understanding that Elijah was John the Baptist, right? And they read the scriptures, which is why it says it here, right? So they knew that Elijah would have had to have been there, at some point, right? Just like how we know that in these last days, Elijah has come, right? And as we just gone through, we believe that to be Elder Arbar Bivens, right? So, hey, as always, Lord's Will, that was edifying, right? Into the next time, Shalom.